اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back, dear brothers and sisters. We're just going to, inshallah, today. I thought some of us may be still struggling to understand the importance of case endings, that is the sign of dhamma, fatha, kasra on the nouns, and what we have learned so far. So inshallah this class would be like a revision of to help you to understand why these case endings are so important. Just to let you know that because we are non-Arab speaking and we are trying to learn the Arabic language, it is very important to know how these signs are linked in a sentence and they change the whole meaning of the word. So once we understand these concepts, and then once we get to know the meaning of the words, then the things become really, really easy for us, inshallah. So it's very important how each sign will tell us what is the situation, what is the position of the word. Then we can link those words and we can understand the whole sentence much clear. So what we're going to learn today is about marfu, mansub and majroor. So what are these signs? We know marfu. So what we are learning so far is about singular nouns. So we have not done the plurals, we have not done the duals, inshallah we will do slowly. But once we get strong in the singular nouns, then inshallah we'll go and do the other duals and plurals. The sign of marfu is either when you see on a noun which is ending with the sign of a dhamma or double dhamma. That is called marfu or raf'a. And we have seen in all our previous classes that kitabun, al-kitabu, qalamun, al-qalamu, Muhammadun and Zainabu. And if you see, few nouns have double dhamma, few nouns are ending with single dhamma, and everything has got a meaning for it. So I hope everybody remembers those things. So these marfu signs on a noun you can find in either jumlatul ismiya and you can find in jumlatul fi'liya. So we have marfu signs in both. So we have to understand each sentence what this marfu signs represents. So coming to jumlatul ismiya, so there's when you see a noun with a double dhamma, that means we know this, that is a sign of indefinite. And obviously we know about the exceptions. When the sign appears on a particular person, then it is definite, like Muhammadun, Hamidun, Ammarun. These are the signs. But so having double dhamma is a sign of indefinite. And when you see single dhamma, most of the time it comes with al, and when al comes, the noun gets one dhamma and it is a sign of definite most of the time. And the definite noun is always marfu when it is mubtada. When you see a noun with the dhamma, one dhamma, and begins, and the sentence begins with it, and that is called mubtada. And we have learned that mubtada mu'akhar can have a double dhamma sign of indefinite. So these are the marfu signs, which are the forms of mubtada. So when it comes first, then it will have single dhamma, and when mubtada comes last, then it will have a sign of indefinite. So khabar also can be marfu because it is still telling about the subject. And when the news of the mubtada, that is khabar, is one word, then it will have a sign of double dhamma, that is indefinite. So that is a sign of marfu, a sign of double dhamma, which tells that it is the khabar. So when you're reading a sentence and when you see the mubtada and in between there will be a long description, we have learned that it can be adjectives. And then when you see a word with a double dhamma, then we should understand, okay, this is khabar. That is how it makes our life easy to understand these signs. So if we fail to understand this, it might be a little bit difficult. So let's practice, inshallah. Like for example, al-qalamu maksurun. Al-baytu jamilun. Al-waladu jalisun. So here we have mubtada and khabar. So khabar, when is one word, it is indefinite, and mubtada is most of the time definite when it comes first, and when it comes last, then it is indefinite. So example here, fil bayti, we got jar majrur shibu jumla khabar coming muqaddam, coming first, and we got rajulun, it is mubtada. So this is how we understand what is mubtada and what is khabar with the signs. Even if you don't know the meanings, the signs will tell us a lot of things, inshallah. Coming to jumlatul fi'liya. In jumlatul fi'liya, what we have, the sign of marfu is fa'il. The fa'il is always marfu. The doer of the action is always marfu. That means you will see the sign of dhamma always on the fa'il when it is singular. So fa'il is a doer, the subject of the verb. So like in this sentence here, ذهب حامد إلى المسجد. So Hamid dun, you see here, dun, the sign of dhamma. So now we know who went. Just with the sign we can tell that the Hamid went to masjid. Jalasat Aminatu fil fasli. Amina sat in class. So with this dhamma we will know, okay, who sat, that is the fa'il. So that is the verb, and that is the fa'il. So the fa'il is always marfu. Now coming to mansub. Mansub, what we have learned so far in our lessons, mansub we have seen that it comes in only jumlatul fi'liya. It does come in jumlatul ismi as well, but that comes in the later section. But what we'll revising is what we have done so far. So far we have seen mansub in jumlatul fi'liya. So what is mansub? Mansub is a noun when it has a fatha, that ends with fatha. So it is never the doer. So it is not the fa'il. When you see a sign of fatha, that means he is not the doer, he is the object. He is the receiver of the action, what we call it as maf'ulun bihi. It is called maf'ulun bihi when you see a sign of fatha. For example, uhibbullaha, I love Allah. So what is my object of love in this sentence is Allah. And yuhibbu hamidun al-lughat al-arabiyya. So Hamid, if we see here, the sign of dhamma will tell that he is the fa'il because he has the sign of dhamma, and the sign of fatha will tell that Hamid likes this thing. So what is this thing now? So al-lughata is a language, and which language? This is a na'at to al-arabiyata. So yuhibbu hamidun, Arabic language, al-lughat al-arabiyya. Hamid likes Arabic language. So when you see a sign of fatha, it is always the object or a maf'ulun bihi, what is we called. So coming to majroor. So majroor we know is a sign of kasra on a noun, or it is double kasra, kasratain. Mainly we'll see majroor in three conditions, what we've seen so far among the singular nouns. So it comes as a ism majroor, mudaf ilayhi, and after zarf is a mudaf ilayhi. So these three, like ism majroor, mudaf ilayhi, and after zarf, these three conditions you will always see a kasra. Just giving you some examples here, like fil masjidi, alal maktabi is coming jar majroor, harf jar, ism majroor. Kitabu Muhammadin, mudaf ilayhi. Qalamul mudarrisi, again mudaf ilayhi. So single kasra, double kasra. So always after mudaf ilayhi. And just an example with the zarf is indal mudiri ma'a hamidin. So whenever a noun comes after these three things, after a harf jar, after a mudaf, after a zarf, always that noun will have a kasra. So when we see a noun with kasra, then we have to understand what is the word before it, whether it is harf jar or whether it is mudaf, and then our translation will change, because everything will become a different translation. So that will help, these signs will help us to understand, inshallah. So these are the regular endings where a noun will take fatha, dhamma and kasra. However, we have done during our course that certain nouns doesn't take kasra, they will only go up to fatha, and they don't take kasra, and we know these are called diptotes. And what are they called in Arabic? excuse me, mamnu' min as-sarf. Mamnu' min as-sarf. So we have done, so far we have done 3 types. So we know that any noun in original state, when it has single dhamma, is like masajidu, manadilu. So we will learn about these patterns, but just to remember that when you see a single dhamma, that is a diptone. And all feminine nouns, we know they are diptones, they don't take kasra. Like zahabtu ila zainaba, it doesn't take zahabtu ila zainabi. Excuse me. And we got non-native Arab names. You've learned like Ibrahim, Ismailu, Ishaqu, Yaqubu. All these names are the non-Arab names, and in Arabic they don't take kasra. So it's called mamnu' min as-sarf. There are more to it, but this is what we have learned so far. So just to revise you among those lines. So we have learned as well that certain nouns, they do not change their case endings at all. So in whatever the conditions, they will have their own signs. So we have to understand what are these words, and then depending on their situation, we have to understand whether it is marfu, mansub or majroor. And what are these called? They are called mabni. Mabni means they don't change, they are fixed. And we've seen they are damir munfasilun, like our huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. So these are damir munfasil, and they are mabni. They don't change. They don't have a sign of dhamma. Like for example, huwa, they have sign of fatha at the end of the word, but it is marfu. So that is what it means, mabni. They have their own signs. Then we've learned about damir muttasil, hu, huma, hum, he, huma, hunna, ha, huma, hunna, ka, kuma, kum, ki, kuma, kunna, ina. So these are all mabni. And we have learned that asma'ul ishara, like hada, dhalika, tilka, hadihi, all these are mabni. They have their own signs. And we've learned that harf jar as well, they have their own signs. So damir munfasil is always marfu. So we know that when you see a damir munfasil like huwa, huma, hum, so we know it is always marfu, and it comes as a mubtada. And what about damir muttasil? Damir muttasil is never marfu. Damir muttasil is always either mansub or majroor. It's very easy. It is mansub when it is attached to a fi'al. So like ahibbuhu, I love him. So this who is, will tell when it's attached to fi'al that this is a mansub. And then we've learned that the damir muttasil, when it is attached to harf jar or mudaf ilayhi, then it is majroor. Like minhu, qalamuhu. Minhu is harf jar, ism majroor. Qalamuhu mudaf ilayhi. Indahu. So this who, this pronouns damir muttasil, tells us that this is majroor. So we have to understand these things. This is just a quick snapshot of what we've told you so far. So it is, if you like memorize this table, it will be easy. So there are certain things which are always marfu in a sentence. What is it? Is mubtada, it's always marfu. Khabar mufrad. Mufrad means when it's a single word. Khabar mufrad is always marfu, sign of dhamma. And fa'il is always marfu, will sign of dhamma. Mansub is maf'ulun bihi, is always mansub, you'll sign of fatha. And sign of kasra, always you see kasra is on a ism majroor and mudaf ilayhi. And there are certain conditions in the noun. When a noun is in a condition, then it can accept either fatha, kasra or dhamma. It is mudaf and na'at, where they can be in any position. When a noun is a mudaf, it can have either fatha, it can have a dhamma, it can have a kasra. When a na'at as well, it follows the man'ut. So we know that if the man'ut has fatha, the na'at will have fatha. If man'ut has dhamma, it will have dhamma. And when man'ut has kasra, then na'at will have kasra. So these are the situations where these signs of fatha, dhamma, kasra will help us to understand the situation of the noun in a sentence and makes it easy. So try and practice this. Keep these things in mind. Marfu, mansoob, majroor. Never be confused when you see the sign. I have to know the reason behind the sign for that noun. And then when you read Quran, then you can understand much, much better. So Alhamdulillah, I'm just going to put you a small song to help you to remember this.
It's marfu. When I say dan, it's mansoob. When I say din, it's majroor. When I say dun, it's marfu. When I say dan, it's mansoob. When I say din, it's majroor. Therefore, dun dun dan dan din din, dun dun dan dan din din, dun dun dan dan din din, dun dun dan dan din din.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.